Hello there, and welcome back to Laurence Plays, where you join me on a very quiet Lignumis. So, after the end of the last video, when I departed this planet and went down to Norvis to see what was going on down there, well, we left a few of the others up here, and in that time, they've basically mothballed this entire planetoid. So, the supplies have stopped running, the peat mines have gone to sleep, there's a little bit trickling around over here, but basically it's gone to sleep. The stone mine is quiet, the tree plantation is silent. Even the gold growing has caught up and has gone to sleep as well. And so we've decided we can leave the moon in this state and go on and start concentrating on Norvis instead. But before they left, Mike and Sophia, and I think Tristan as well, did a little bit of stuff to make the planet that little bit safer before they departed. So over here we've got a wall that now goes all the way around the outside of the claimed factory area, and this is one of those wooden walls that I was talking about in the last video that I think is supposed to stop some of the sound getting through. If I switch over to I'm on the map view. If I turn on the noise pollution thing, I don't know. This still looks just as big to me as it did before. So I think the noise pollution, I don't know. I was expecting it to have gone away basically completely because the factory has stopped doing anything and because we've got the wall round the edge, but it doesn't really seem to have had quite the effect I was expecting. Maybe it doesn't disappear quite as quickly as I was thinking it would in the past. However, the wall isn't just a wall, it's also got these turrets every so often, and as you can see if I mouse over them, there is a little bit of overlap between their ranges, and so any enemies that come crawling in and try to attack the wall will definitely be in range of at least one turret, and given how weak the enemies on this planet have been so far, this is probably going to be okay. So this turret is being fed by this supply belt down here, where we have a nice healthy stock of wood and ammunition, and a supply of wood coming in order to allow it to make more. So the factory will carry on running all by itself, and we're feeding the peat through as well. So we've got both of those things coming up here, so we're going to be absolutely sure we've got everything we need. But there's an interesting system going on here with their cables, and until the last stream, I hadn't realised you could use cables before you'd research circuit network. So we don't have any combinators, we can't do any maths with the signals, but we can set controls on them, and apparently you get them when you unlock circuits in any playthrough, and then from then on you've got them no matter what playthrough you're playing. So we've been able to put these cables in, and with circuit conditions, despite not really having any proper electronics on this planet, which is interesting. And the way this is working is it's monitoring the belt along here, so this piece and these three here, and it's seeing if there's any ammunition on there. And if there's no ammunition, then it'll allow some through. And so that's why we've got these little bursts of 5 magazines, and then a big gap, and then another 5 magazines, and another gap, and so on. And so that's allowing us to have some ammunition on the belt, but without filling it up, without it taking forever to fill the belt up completely with the wooden ammunition, and just allowing it to drift around. And the interesting thing about that is you'll notice that the peat is quite gappy along here as well, because some of that's been grabbed by the inserters, and okay, no, we don't need to feed peat into the wooden turrets, that's a relief, but some of it has been grabbed to fuel the wooden inserters, and then it's only being replenished on the belt along here if there's actually a shortage of ammunition on the belt coming along here. So we can see that there's some quite big gaps, but there is still some peat on there, so that's okay. If I keep looking round the belt, there are some places, I spotted one earlier and now I can't find it again, where there's lots and lots of peat together, and that's presumably because we're feeding ammunition on quite heavily at that stage. Yeah, here we go, there's loads and loads of peat over here, but with some slight gaps. Perhaps because there's a shortage of ammunition, or perhaps, I'm not sure exactly what would cause that. I guess if there was no ammo on the belt here, then we wouldn't be able to get any into here, so it would just feed it through and through and through solidly. And there's quite a lot of ammunition bunched up here. Maybe this came from not having the belt going all the way round at one point, so it was able to bunch up at the end of the belt, and then the belt was finished off, so it sort of caught up, and then we got the sort of this gappy pattern forming. Either way, we've got enough on there that if we do get some incursions from the wriggly guys, then we should be okay. The turrets will be able to deal with them, and they'll be able to rearm themselves, and then when that gap gets back round to here, it'll be filled back up again. And so given the lack of attacks that we're expecting, and the fact that our pollution hasn't got very far out from the base, and we've cleared out all of the wrigglers around there, I think we're probably going to be okay with that. Mike says that he put in the turrets round here, and then people complained that he put in too many, so he took some out, and then they complained there were still too many, so he took some out again. So I'm assuming he actually had them at about this sort of density, and sort of 4 times as many, which is nice because then you have actual proper overlap and the turrets defend each other. But I think given the enemies we have around here, that's probably overkill. Something we discovered, which we found quite pleasing, and you'll see if I grab some of this gold from along here, just a big gold heist along there. Right, there we go. Is now we're getting hot plates out from the gold production. So previously, if we cooked the gold ore directly, this stuff down here in the smelters, then we would get hot plates out. But if we went via pulverizing, then we wouldn't get the hot plates out. However, I mentioned this to the mod authors, and they were very quick to fix it, which is very nice of them. So now we can cook from pulverized or crushed gold and still get the hot plates out. Now, it doesn't really make a lot of difference at this point because, well, by the time they've got to here, you can see they're all cooling off quite nicely and turning back into cold gold plates, which means we can put them wherever. However, we're aware that in the future we're going to be playing with things where things are going to be going through a little bit faster. So for example, when we're making steel, the traditional way to do it is to insert directly from one smelter to another like that. But this won't work anymore because we've got the because we're going to have hot plates in there, and apparently if they're hot you can't re-smelt them, which is a little bit silly, but never mind. So it's mostly going to make things awkward when we try and do direct insertion. The rest of the time things will happily cool down on a belt, but it looks better and it's an interesting thing to have, and I think it's kind of fun. So it's very nice to see it fixed up and working properly once again. So I guess that means it's time to leave Lignumis, probably forever. Well, I say forever. There's still these gold patches down here, and we're going to come back for those someday with proper industrial deep mining drills and see what we can do with those. But for the time being, I think we've finished with Lignumis. It's time to move on. And so it's time to get back in the lovely wooden rocket silo and set course for Norvis. So we'll get back in, we'll launch, and I seem to have put Mike's shirt on. I guess that means we can blame anything that goes wrong on him. And there've been some minor changes made by the model, I should say. So here we go. The rocket is ready to launch, and it's taking off quite slowly. But then it's a wooden rocket. Everything. Oh dear! It seems to set fire to the rocket silo. That can't be good. I hope nothing unfortunate's going to happen there. Yep, it's definitely on fire. That can't be... and it's exploded. Yes, it turns out, and this was a bit of a surprise to us when we started playing the new version of this game, it turns out when you launch a wooden rocket out of a wooden rocket silo, the silo catches fire and then explodes. That means that for each additional person who wants to leave, they need to build their own rocket silo. So that slowed us down on leaving the planet a little bit. But I guess, that's what we get for playing multiplayer. But fortunately, I'd left the assembly machine in here, so it's just a case of turning all the inserters back on like this, and we can start putting stuff into the assembly machine, start making the next silo, and place it, someone launches, and then that one blows up as well. So that was an entertaining surprise, and I have to admit, we did find it quite amusing. It added in a little bit of a surprise just as we were trying to get going and get everyone down to Norvis to help Mark with the biter problems. So that will be the subject of the next video though. I don't want to cover too many subjects in a single video, so I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you'll be coming back next time for the next video, where we should be looking into Norvis and the resources available down there, and that should all be fairly familiar, but it'll be nice to have a look in and see how we dealt with everything and who did what and how things are going. In the meantime, please come back on Monday for the next stream, where we'll be carrying on with the game from wherever we've got to at this point. I'll be back on Wednesday as well, of course, for the last Starship stream, so please come and join me for those, and there'll be another video next Friday as well. If you'd like to come along and chat with us, there's a link to the Discord server in the video description, and also if you're a channel supporter, then you can get a copy of the save game from the start of this run, in case you want to sync against the mods we're using and just automatically and easily start with the correct seed. If you do use it and get started and are playing along, then let us know how you're getting on. Drop some screenshots in on the Discord and let us know what you think of the planets we're going to. So, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.